Now I'd like to pass on the floor to our next presenter, namely Evgeny Kasyan, DVM and the technical officer from Industria Moscow. He will share with us the BRICS member states' experience in choosing antibiotics. I'd like to apologize from the get-go. The title of the panel discussion is the news from the BRICS member states, and that's exactly what I will be talking about. I'd like to thank Vasily. You'll understand why later on, because I will outline the huge amount of work that will be in store for us in my presentation. What our company deals with is as follows. We try to follow what BRICS country do, and that includes Brazil, India, China, and other countries from the Southeast Asia in terms of scientific developments. And our company might be called a window to Asia of sorts. We have established great relations with two South Korean forms. Genotype 7 was mentioned time and again during the day. This product is a mutual development alongside our Indian partners. This is just a striking example of politics, marketing, and production alike. As far as antibacterial drugs are concerned, you know, they will never get old. And that means that we will keep on developing and improving them. The molecule is called quinol, but oftentimes we confuse things. What do we mean by antibiotics? There are two different meanings for the Russian term. Antibiotics, used in the scientific sense of the word, and most of the people use them as a synonym for antimicrobial drugs. Antimicrobial drugs are not just bacteria, but also can comprise antibiotics in a pure sense of the word and synthetic antimicrobial drugs. And we have our own production facilities that manufacture 5 different products. 3 of them are synthetic. Traditional or conventional antibiotics can be subsplit into several categories. However, if you take a look at the synthetic antibiotics, there are fewer of them. There are 5 of them listed in the slide. And the 5th group is probably the most advanced group that will be focused on by our company since we already produced them. As for sulfonylamides, they are important and well, if you want some historical data, they've been developed since the 1930s and the 1950s. Just when the penicillin was discovered, penicillin is just well known across the world. Quinolones and fluoroquinolones, generation 3 quinolones are actively used in the veterinary medicine. We focus on the third category shown in the slide. These are derivatives, chemical derivatives of 8-oxyquinoline. All these products are derivatives of chemical synthesis of plants. Well, I try to, incentivize you slightly. There are 20,000 different species of mammals, and currently only 67,000 species are left. As for insects, there are 5 or even 7 million different species. 250,000 different species is the number of plant species. How come this is the case? This is the evolution process and the evolutionary adaptation. And there are lots of aromatic hydrocarbons that in their end form seem to be a deadlock in, I mean, alkaloids and phenols that that were produced by plants to counter insects. That's why we have so many species of plants and an even greater number of species of insects. And this is just to draw an analogy with antibiotics. Antibiotics are about a protective reaction. This is pure chemistry, but everything is everything is based on plants and fossil fuel generated by plants. And the similarity is that they all have a wide range of actions: anti-fungi, antibacterial, anti-protozoal, and they form chelate compounds with ferrum ions. And different products have different properties, starting from antiseptics and up to easily absorbed compounds that can be extracted with urine, and those that do not get absorbed in urine. I even call it a reverse examples. So chemists synthesize some compound, and then biologists or some other scientists find different examples in nature. For instance, quinoline is a chemical agent that was found in the bug named here. And oxinoline derivative was found in a plant called Centaurea diffusa. It's like a chemical weapon. The roots of this plant produce this compound, which can be used as a herbicide. In other words, plants nearby this plant will die off. This is just a protective mechanism that can be found in the nature. So you don't need to try and reinvent the wheel. All you need to do is just closely monitor the nature and just try to identify stuff like that. This is the Halkwi standard, 3 different fractions. We use it as a basis, then add chlorine to different parts, and we get a new molecule with specific properties. And we're talking about a wide range of different properties. Today, you already talked about the fungi-based infections that might aggravate the other pathogens, and colibacteriosis was mentioned by Mr. Professor Javadov. Well, actually, pharmacokinetics are the main thing because this drug is not absorbed in the gut, and it starts working in high concentrations as a feed antimicrobial drug. It works in the intestinal lumen. Halquinol is well known is India and in China, but our company added the sodium butyrate here. I don't need to go into details. I guess you all know why that is. And human medicine features even more publications on that compound. So please take a closer look at some human medicine publications if you want to learn more about that compound. Combined infections of unidentified etiology or unknown origins are even more interesting in this regard. I'm gonna skip some of the slides. I'll be really brief because Vasily asked me to deliver a more political rather than marketing presentation. How come Western companies did not pay attention to our product? The main problem was marketing. We did not secure a patent back then, and it was not lucrative for anyone to launch it into the market. And the production process was not fine-tuned back then. Even in Southeast Asia and in South America, the peak was reached within the past 15 years. And in Europe, everything is being strictly regulated and it requires multiple tests and studies. And no one would do that because we didn't have a patent, like I said. It's a very potent weapon, but for some reason, many European well-known companies decided against partnering up with us. However, in Southeast Asia, Thailand was our choice. I don't speak Mandarin, though I visited China multiple times and I visited lots of their farms. However, in Thailand, they have a well-developed swine industry and a well-developed poultry industry, and a Thai group of companies operates in the Russian market as well. I guess you all know this large company I'm talking about. This is a slide devoted to the swine industry, but the trends are the same. AGPs, antibiotic growth promoters, amoxicillin and halquinol is the second most popular drug, and followed by callistin. However, callistin caused ever-increasing resistance in China, and swine industry was actively used in the swine actively used callistin, and then the first problems appeared. They were confirmed by other countries, and the WHO, World Health Organization, states that callistin is a backup antibiotic that can be used basically everywhere. And what Thailand did was as follows. In some of their provinces, let's say in half of the country, they banned callistin. That happened in 2019. And after a year's absence of callistin in the market, the situation started improving. And the WHO had no information on the remaining remains of halquinol, not just in meat but in offal. And the poultry industry Thai poultry industry put more pressure on the international bodies, and in Italy they ran a joint session in 2021, and they approved the minimal requirements both for meat and for offal. So that means that even in Europe, we should expect a renaissance of Hoquinol as soon as the tests are over. Right. I'm going to skip some of the slides. So it's not just about antimicrobial effect, but also it has a positive impact on the motility, gut motility. Thus, it improves the growing rates. Right. India buys crude oil from us, and the surplus is huge. If you read Indian mass media and Russian mass media, you'll see that we have lots of Indian rupees, which means that we need to buy more products from India, because we can hardly exchange in the Indian rupees for any other currency. This is an Indian-produced drug which can be bought in Russia, and resistance is not a problem. For 5 to 10 years, you can apply it without any problems. And despite the fact that I work for a commercial company, but being a scientist, I really hope that I'll be able to cooperate with Vasily and his student, and I really hope that some PhD thesis would be devoted to this particular molecule, because we are only at the starting point, and I feel as if I were a pioneer. Thank you for your attention.